The following is a presentation of TNT Sports.
Saturday, the bell rang for round two, and it was the Cavs who answered it. Brad Daugherty, one of the main architects of Cleveland's first-round dismissal of the Nets, dismantled the Celtics in Game 1, 26 points, 17 boards, while Larry Nance contributed with 3 more blocks to go with a 24-point effort. For the Boston Celtics, it was the first loss in almost a month as the Cavs took the opener. Today, some unfinished first-round business in New York. Decisive Game 5 of the Pistons-Knicks series. And New York came up with the knockout punch in front of the home folks. The season ends for Detroit while the Knicks get the Bulls in the semis. In the West, after a move to Las Vegas, the Lakers and Blazers resume their first-rounder. The Lakers looking to somehow extend the series once again. Portland looking for the clincher and a Western Conference semifinal matchup with Phoenix. Tonight on TNT, the Clippers and Jazz have moved from Los Angeles to Anaheim for Game 4, with Larry Brown's Clippers searching for the equalizer against the Utah Jazz. Karl Malone has scored 29 points a game for Utah. John Stockton has averaged 18 assists. Utah can advance with a win. We've got on our Sunday best for the playoffs on TNT. Postponed, rescheduled, and rescheduled again, and now it will be played in Anaheim. Good evening, everybody. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. For Utah, this could be the first-round clincher. For the Clippers, it could extend what has been a remarkable season for a franchise absent from the playoffs for the last 16 years. Now, these teams haven't played since Tuesday, so let's quickly recap what has transpired up to this point. Utah with a sweep at home, where they are so tough, with Karl Malone scoring 32 in each game. The Clippers winning at the Sports Arena by 10 Tuesday night as all 5 starters hit double figures. So Larry Brown's Clippers down 2-1 look to knot things up with a home game moved to Anaheim. And now, how have the developments of the past several days in L.A. affected the players involved? Well, our Jack Givens had a chance to talk to Mark Eaton of Utah and the Clippers' Olden Polynice.
Well, we really haven't been able to do anything. Of course, you've been restricted by the curfew in the evening, so even going out to dinner is a major deal. We've mostly just spent time in the hotel, in our rooms, hanging around very close to the hotel and watching all the events unfold on television like everyone else. So it's been difficult. When we have been able to practice, our practice time has been very limited due to access of facilities, and so it's been a trying 3 or 4 days.
I guess you're pretty excited, though, about finally having the opportunity to get the game going.
We are. We're just tired of sitting in the hotel and looking at each other. We're ready to get out and move around and play a little bit.
I have a friend of mine, named Joe Torre. He's a comedian, and there's a place that he used to perform at, and I called him after a practice on Friday and said, what were you doing? He said he was going up there to clean up. So I said, hey, I want to go with you. And at the time, I wanted to do something because during the practice, I had talked to a reporter, and he said, what was I doing? I said, well, I want to do something, some kind of way to show the people that, I'm in support, and I'm there for them. And so when I talked to Joe, he said he's going down there. I said, fine, I'll go with you. And we got down there, and, the buildings, some of them were still burning a little bit, but we managed to clean up all the sidewalks. And then we did that. We went to another spot, and it was just great seeing all the people in the community coming together, trying to rebuild everything. And I think that's what people needed to see. Not all the destruction, but also the people coming together and helping one another.
Clippers and Jazz with a chance to focus on basketball in just a few minutes. Earlier today, in the only series that has gone the full 5 games, the New York Knicks sent the Pistons packing with a 7-point win at Madison Square Garden. As usual, there was rough stuff in this one. Flagrant foul, Charles Oakley on Dennis Rodman. Third period, Joe Dumars. Will he dish? No. He's going to scoop off the glass. It's going to go. He draws a foul, 54-51 Detroit. Patrick Ewing, though, was the man again for the New York Knicks. 31-point afternoon, up and over John Sally. And in the fourth period, the Knicks put it away. John Starks from three-point land. Nice catch. Better shot. 87-76 at that point. New York on its way to a 94-87 win. The Knicks advance to meet the Chicago Bulls in the next round. Meantime, Game 4 of the Western Conference first-round series between the Lakers and Blazers, like Game 4 of the Clippers and Jazz, was moved out of the turbulent setting of Los Angeles. Instead, the Thomas & Mack Center on the Campus of UNLV was the site this afternoon. The Blazers looking to put them away. The Lakers trying to somehow hang in there. Looked good early with the block on Duckworth. Sedale 3. Gets it in his sights. Knocks down the jumper. Back comes Portland. Danny Ainge to Jerome Kersey, one of the great finishers on the break. Up, up, up he goes and jams that thing down. Then it's Kersey to Clyde Drexler, and everything going Portland's way at this point. Let's check out the scores they play in the fourth period. The Portland Trail Blazers with a 94-68 lead over the Lakers. That one appears to be over in 4 games. Now, as far as the Eastern Conference semifinals go, only one game has been played so far, and that was yesterday at Richfield Coliseum between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. Chris Ford's guys had won 11 straight. Lenny Wilkins' guys, ice cold to start, missed their first 9 shots. Kevin Gamble for 2 of his 22. The Celtics with a 3-point lead. Late third, Steve Kerr. Willie, hey, we wouldn't show it if it didn't. From half court. Bags it. They're up by 15, part of a 14-2 run. And it's Brad Daugherty just waiting for the feed from Hot Rod. 26 points, 17 rebounds, 101-76 the final. Boston with its lowest output of the season as they lose to Cleveland in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semis. Game 2 of that series comes your way tomorrow night right here on TNT. The Celtics and the Cavs at 8 o'clock Eastern on TNT. Coming up next, we've got Game 4. The Jazz and the Clippers comes your way from Anaheim, and we'll take you there after this.
Game 4 in the Western Conference Playoff Series between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Utah Jazz convenes. Maybe I should say reconvenes in the Anaheim Convention Center. Utah leading the series 2-1. And while we've had a change of venue, and this is not the home arena of the Los Angeles Clippers, they still have the home court advantage because the floor was trucked some 40 miles from the LA Sports Arena south to Anaheim to be in use today. And good afternoon or evening, wherever you're watching. Jim Durham with Jack Gibbons. And welcome to a very important playoff game here today that will be played in front of a crowd of about 7,400 people. When you compare the Anaheim Convention Center to the LA Sports Arena, well, it's about half as big. It's also a little bit newer than the LA Sports Arena, and obviously there's an overflow crowd, so they are watching the game on big screen TVs in a nearby room. Jack Gibbons, been a long wait for these players.
And I talked to a lot of players from both teams, and definitely they have been more ready to play this game than any of the series. The overwhelming consensus is they would have rather played this game 2 or 3 days ago. Even the Los Angeles Clippers said they wouldn't mind giving up a little bit more of the home court advantage to go on and get this game played. So they're definitely ready to get the ball tossed up. It should be a good one here this afternoon.
For the Utah Jazz, they have been in Southern California since Monday. They only played the one game, that was on Tuesday. We talked with Coach Jerry Sloan about the game, asked him if there were pluses and minuses about the delay.
Well, only time can tell today when we play the game. I think one of the
series has been, or the lack thereof. If you look at the rebounding in Game 1, the Jazz really laid it to the Clippers. They won Game 2 and they won the rebounding. But then in Game 4, the Clippers got a lot more physical, led by the guys along the front line. That's the way it's going to have to be. Both teams expected to be even more physical here today.
So the Los Angeles Clippers trying to win and square the series. We'll be back with Game 4 next. Here in the Convention Center a few moments ago, the crowd observed a moment of silence with respect to the events of the past week in Los Angeles.
To pause for a moment and reflect upon how each of us can help to make this country truly one nation with liberty and justice for all.
Back live in the Anaheim Convention Center. Jim Durham with Jack Gibbons. The Jeep Eagles starting lineups for tonight. Interesting matchups. Karl Malone up front with Blue Edwards for Utah. Mark Eaton in the middle. Jeff Malone and John Stockton in the backcourt for the Clippers. It's Danny Manning and Ken Norman at the forward spots. Charles Smith in the middle. Ron Harper and Glenn Doc Rivers in the backcourt. Jerry Sloan's club has been sitting and waiting for a long time. Unable to move practically in terms of being able to to get out of the hotel. His career playoff record 10-15. They have the series edge here at 2-1. Larry Brown taking over the helm of the Clippers in early February, trying to guide them through into the second round. Eaton and Charles Smith and Manning controlling the tip. What a start.
Well, it's going to be important for the Clippers to use their quickness. You'll see Danny Manning guard Mark Eaton. That will leave Charles Smith to body up with Karl Malone down low.
This is Stockton giving it up to Jeff Malone. They go over the top. Forcing the turnover is Los Angeles. And Doc Rivers on ahead to Harper. Charles Smith driving past Eaton. Manning on the foul.
The team that has won the rebounds has won the game, and the Clippers right now getting every loose ball. As I mentioned, Charles Smith will be guarding Karl Malone, and Eaton will try to guard Smith on the other end. You saw Smith put the ball on the floor and try to get to the basket.
Stockton throwing over the top into Karl Malone. His shot is blocked, but he stays with it. Malone again, and walking. Mike Mathis makes the travel call.
The real key to that series, though, is the fact that Karl Malone was able to get to the offensive boards. Charles Smith will have to lay his body on him and keep him out of there.
Well, it's official. This is the final game of the first round of the NBA playoffs, possibly, although it could last to tomorrow. Rivers off the drive. Manning missing. Eaton with the rebound. Stockton has it. The Jazz looking to get on the scoreboard. Good feed into Malone.
Well, nice bounce pass, and that's what's going to happen when you're not guarding the same guy that's guarding you. It makes it more difficult to find him in the transition game. Charles Smith will have to make sure he converts well defensively.
Rivers taking Stockton into a screen, and a foul called on Stockton. Jerry Sloan doesn't like the call from Lee Jones. That's one thing the Clippers have done starting with game 2 in this series, and that is get a little more physical with Stockton.
And they will have to continue to do that. Now you see Karl Malone. Charles Smith is nowhere to be found because he is back being guarded by Mark Eaton.
Ken Norman gives it up. Danny Manning against Malone, and Manning has all 6 for the Clips.
I think it's obvious right now the Clippers going to Danny Manning in an attempt to get Karl Malone to pick up some early fouls.
Malone guarded by Smith. Stockton pops free. Got a foul called on Utah. It's on Eaton setting the screen, or Blue Edwards.
That's on Mark Eaton. He laid his body right on Ken Norman coming along the screen. Norman trying to follow John Stockton out along the baseline that time, and Eaton gave it to him.
In the game played Tuesday night in the Sports Arena, the Clippers won by 10. They have gotten progressively better with each game.
It's amazing the change from game 1 to game 2, and then from game 2 to game 3.
12 on the shot clock. There's Manning against Malone on the side edge of the glass and cleared by Eaton. Stockton surveys the scene.
One big change for the Clippers was inserting Doc Rivers into the starting lineup. He did not start in game 1.
Although he had 23 points for them. That was Blue Edwards on that shot from the baseline. The Clippers, the 2-point lead in the ball. Ron Harper gives it up to Norman. Now Smith right back into Norman on the reverse.
Well, that's great ball movement, and you see very quickly how truly quick the Clippers are along the front line.
And you know, too, Jack, on that play, Eaton floated high on the floor, and once he drifts away, well, they punched it right in. And now Eaton, not known for his offense, comes up with that short hook.
Now, because of the double teaming on Karl Malone, it leaves Mark Eaton open a lot. The Jazz have been sending Eaton to the basket every time the double team comes.
Ron Harper guarded by Jeff Malone. Charles Smith. Ken Norman leaves it for Smith, and the 18-footer rims out. Malone, Karl with the rebound, and Jeff Malone advancing on the dribble. Blue Edwards gets free, has the shot blocked from behind by Manning. 10 seconds on the 24-second clock. the crowd here in Anaheim making some noise. Edwards for three. And the rebound tipped to Norman from Rivers. Ahead to Harper. Rivers three try. Comes off to Manning. He's in tall timber and gives it up to Smith. Now Manning. Out front, Rivers trying to save at the timeline. It's picked off by Utah. Malone on the feed from Stockton, guarded by Harper.
Jeff Malone has been bothered by that bad ankle. He said he's about 90% today. That's one good thing about this little mini vacation here, is that Jeff Malone has been able to rest that ankle.
John Stockton misconnected on the lob to Karl Malone. That's the fourth Utah turnover. The Utah Jazz have not been a good road club during the regular season or in their playoff history for that matter. Rivers has it poked away by Stockton. The Jazz come out. They've got the advantage. Here's Edwards feeding Stockton.
I waited way too late to give the ball up. They still get the basket.
Stockton with his first two. Game tied at 8. Just about 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Rivers at the controls for the Clippers.
Kenny Norman has been one of the unsung heroes of this playoff series. Jeff Malone with the steal there.
He blindsided Manning, and now Jeff Malone gets hit with an offensive foul into Ron Harper. A timeout taken here in Anaheim. The crowd alive. They're all tied up. Back at the Anaheim Convention Center. The Clippers home away from home. And Jack Gibbons, part of the home court advantage, obviously, is the intensity that the noise of the crowd brings to a venue. And even though this isn't the sports arena, it is loud in here.
It is loud. I think most of these people, obviously Clipper fans, they're very excited about the opportunity to stretch this series to Game 5. I expect it to get even more loud in this building as the game goes on.
The Clippers looking for the lead with 6:40 left to go in the quarter.
I think it's interesting. Neither Harper or Jeff Malone have taken a shot in this game.
12 on the shot clock. Rivers feeding Harper, and off the drive he dumps it for Manning. Blocked by Eaton. 4 to shoot. Norman right back to the hoop. No foul. Ball on the floor, and time runs out. 24-second violation.
Norman wanted the foul as he took the ball to the basket. He did not get it. Mark Eaton stepped in, put the wide body. Watch right here. There's the contact there. Didn't get the call. And there's the scramble. The shot clock did, in fact, go off. It did not sound, and that's why there was the argument.
Well, they have a problem with it. 22 seconds on one shot clock and 24 seconds on the other. So that's the reason the officials are at the scorer's table. Remember, the baskets and the 24-second clocks and the floor were all trucked from the sports arena down here. Oftentimes that's the case when you have to move equipment.
24-second violation.
Look for the Jazz right now to come down and find a shot for Jeff Malone. He will probably run a screen along the baseline. It's usually at this stage of the game they start to go to Jeff.
Shot clocks are still not synced properly. One has 23 seconds and the other 24.
We can't hear nothing without. That's why we got it here.
Utah Jazz, the best home court record during the regular season, but 20th on the road. We talked about their problem that they have on the road. In fact, I think, Jack, that's been Utah's basic problem these last few years of going deep into the playoffs. They're not a good road club.
They are not. Although they did play better on the road late in the season. They ended out winning about their last 8-9 ball games, 4 of those coming on the road. And I think they feel they can play on the road. They just haven't had the luck. And in the playoffs, they haven't had the home court advantage at times.
Getting an official's timeout here as we check out the scoreboard of the other games in the playoffs today. The New York Knicks winning at home to clinch that series against the Detroit Pistons, and now they move on to face the Chicago Bulls in the next round, and the Portland Trail Blazers in Las Vegas. take out the Los Angeles Lakers convincingly so, and it will be Portland and Phoenix in round 2. The Suns have been waiting for a while since eliminating San Antonio in 3 straight. So there's been a lot of waiting going on in these NBA playoffs, and should the Clippers win this game today, these two teams would play the deciding 5th game tomorrow night in the Delta Center in Salt Lake.
You're looking at the Clippers bench right here, and I tell you, the improvement of that ball club since game 1 was unbelievable. They got blown out in Salt Lake City in game 1. Larry Brown inserted Doc Rivers into the starting lineup, and they improved dramatically from game 1 to game 2. Then they got some more time together, some more practice time. They made the improvement. They won game 3, and I think the reason is they have become more and more physical along the front line as the series has gone on. Of course, with Karl Malone, the way he plays, you have to body up against him. You can't allow him to take uncontested shots down low.
We have a delay here in Anaheim as the officials are awaiting the correction in the 24-second clock situation. 24-second clock apparently has a mind of its own, and it has a mind not to work right now.
You know, I talked to Jeff Malone before the ball game. He talked a lot about the situation here in Los Angeles. One thing, though, I thought was important was that it gave Jeff an opportunity to rest his ankle. Here's what he had to say about the whole situation.
Well, I think we're in a pretty good mental frame. We had a few practice days. The tough part was not knowing we were going to play. We would go to practice, and after that, they'll say one day, then they kept moving it. So it was tough in that situation, but I think, you know, we're going to be ready to play because we didn't do a whole lot last game. We got a chance to watch the films, and we feel pretty good right now.
Well, normally in the NBA, a team has to win an NBA championship to go to Disneyland, but that obviously is not the case here today.
They got the call early. But I tell you what, visiting Disney was the last thing on these guys' mind here in the last few days.
So right now, both shot clocks are blank. They're going to use the clocks on the floor. We're going back about 20 years in the NBA when the shot clocks were in opposite corners of the court. Missed steal by Manning. Stockton into Eaton.
As I say, with the double teams, Mark Eaton has been sent to the basket. Usually he will float out on the floor. Now Jerry Sloan is sending him to the basket. He has been able to score more in the playoffs.
He's got 5 baskets and 4 have been assisted by Stockton. This is Harper.
His first shot of the game, and I like it that he remained patient and waited for the offense to come to him.
Stockton guarded by Rivers. Jeff Malone on the drive, fading over Norman.
Yeah, that's Jeff's shot. As I say, this is about the time of the game when they start to get him involved. They try to get Karl Malone going early. If Karl's not working, they will get Jeff involved.
Ty Corbin at the scorer's table for Utah. Clippers get the ball inside, but on the missed shot by Norman, it's Stockton on the advance.
Well, Eaton makes you change up so many shots.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Malone against Smith. Shot clock at 13. Now it's Karl Malone guarded by Manning. Malone missing the long jumper. It was a 2 attempt.
Malone will do that when he's not getting enough shots down low. He'll step out and take the jump shot.
Smith from the outside.
He's got to make that shot. He has to make that one.
Doc Rivers is the only player in the starting lineup yet to score. And remember, Rivers has been having some big games in the playoffs for the Clippers. Stockton off the drive. Ran into a crowd and draws the foul on the shot.
The real thing Doc has done is force John Stockton to work a little bit harder for his offense. He's bodied up against him, and Doc has been a presence on the offensive end of the floor, which makes John Stockton stay at home defensively.
That foul on Charles Smith, the first foul of the game against the Clippers. Stockton not shooting as well from the foul line in this playoff series. 76% as opposed to 84% of the regular season. But that free throw puts Utah up by 1. Smith under pressure. Comes out to Rivers. Wide open is Harper for 3. Wide left. And Karl Malone takes it down with authority.
Hey, Malone hasn't had a shot on the block for a while. It seems like Charles Smith doing a real good job bodying up. Malone 1 of 4. Karl Malone.
That's Jeff Malone. And Jeff Malone with 4. The Jazz lead is now 3. Ron Harper dances free.
This has turned into a half-court game right now. The Clippers not getting the easy baskets, the early offense that they got earlier in this game. And, of course, the Jazz, one of the best half-court teams in the league.
Malone guarded by Harper. Inside Karl Malone. The ball knocked away and a foul on Norman. That's his first second-team foul. We're in the Anaheim Convention Center. Game 4 in this Western Conference Series. The Los Angeles Lakers against the Utah Jazz, and Utah owns a 2-1 lead, trying to wrap this up and move on to round 2 and a date with the Seattle Supersonics. On the free throw line is Karl Malone, 73% free throw shooter in this series. 1 for 4 from the field today. He does have 5 rebounds.
Charles Smith has done a much better job bodying up against Karl Malone, not allowing him to establish himself on the low post. And now Olin Polynice has checked in, and this guy has done a tremendous job on Karl Malone. Karl has gotten his points, although in game 3 he had only 22, and a lot of that was because Polynice putting the body on Malone down low.
And another change of note from the Utah side. Ty Corbin is in, and John Stockton is out. This is a move that Jerry Sloan went to with about 9 games left in the season. He plays Corbin for Stockton, and then he moves Blue Edwards into the backcourt.
Jeff Malone will play a lot of point guard spot now, and what that does is forces Jeff to now have to start the offense. You won't see him run the screens, and he won't be really as effective on the offensive end, or at least he has not been in this series to this point when he's at the point guard spot.
Polynice getting checked off his drive. Here's James Edwards getting tied up and stripped by Blue Edwards. Ahead to Jeff Malone. Now Corbin has it knocked away by Harper. 2 good defensive plays, 1 at each end.
Corbin fumbled that pass just a little bit, but yes, aggressive defense on both ends. You'll see the steal, Blue Edwards. He's going to get it out. And Harper just keeps running.
Gary Grant is on for the Clippers in the backcourt. Gary Grant got into foul trouble in game 1, picked up 3 fouls quickly. Rivers came in and pretty much stayed the rest of the way. Karl Malone is fouled going to the hoop. He also wants a goaltend.
He's not going to get it, I don't think. Polynice came over, got a hand on that. I thought it was a pretty good defensive play. The Clippers, though, are not going to let Malone have anything easy on the low post.
Foul was on Manning, his first, 3rd team. 3-point lead for Utah. The Jazz with the lead. The Clippers started quickly, scoring 6 of the first 8 points today.
It's turned into a half-court game. The Clippers have not been able to get the ball off the boards and initiate their fast break. They have been better in their half-court offense. Mark Eaton, though, has forced them to change some shots down low.
Olin Polynice, James Edwards. Up front with Danny Manning for Larry Brown's club. Ron Harper and Gary Grant in the backcourt. Utah now with Karl Malone, Mike Brown, and Ty Corbin up front, and a pretty good-sized guard tandem of Blue Edwards and Jeff Malone. Karl Malone is perfect in 3 tries from the free throw line.
He has spent a lot of time in this series on the free throw line. 41 free throw attempts in the first 3 games. Of course, he led the NBA in trips to the free throw line over the course of the regular season.
Utah with its biggest lead. 2:53 left in the first quarter. Gary Grant guarded by Jeff Malone. That's Harper.
Really remaining patient offensively, using the screens very, very well. I mean, really busting off the screens for the open shot.
Harper is 3 out of 4 from the field in this first quarter. Karl Malone checked by Polynice. And off the ball, we get a whistle. It's a foul against Utah.
An offensive foul, and with John Stockton on the bench, you can imagine that the Utah offense is not going to be as smooth. And as I mentioned, the other thing that it does with Stockton on the bench, it takes Jeff Malone out of the offense because he has to now run the show.
The Clippers with a chance to cut it to 1. Gary Grant from 20.
Grant is really struggling, wanting some more playing time. Doc Rivers has played so well, it's forced Grant to lose a lot of minutes.
Plus, the Clippers discover that with a little bigger player on Stockton, it has its effect. This steal by Grant, it leaves Jeff Malone open. Polynice with a hand on the rebound. It's knocked out of bounds by Utah. So the Clippers have it with a chance at the lead.
Larry Brown made it clear to Olden Polynice that the way to get minutes in this series is to be physical and play on the defensive end of the floor as aggressively as possible.
Harper missing, and the rebound out of bounds to Utah.
Olden played very, very few minutes down the stretch of the season, the last 5 or 6 ball games. As a matter of fact, he had 3 games where he didn't play at all. So his minutes were about gone.
It's Manning on the steal, but he couldn't control. And since he did not have control, Utah will come in with 14 on the shot clock. .131 left in the opening quarter. Mike Brown gives it up to Karl Malone, and he walked. Polynice forced the turnover.
Well, you saw his reaction, and I read an article in the Los Angeles newspaper. Olden Polynice said he is the only guy in the NBA that can stop Karl Malone. Now, that didn't work the first game. He came out and played Karl, and Karl got 32 points. But he has done a good job since that time.
That's the 7th turnover for the Jazz. Gary Grant fires. The Clippers take the lead.
Gary likes to leave Stockton on the bench for the rest of this first period, but I think he's going to need to put him back in there right at the beginning of the second quarter.
He's got a minute left in this quarter. Again, it's inside to Malone, and they've got a necktie party for him right under the hoop.
As I say, nothing easy can be given up to Karl Malone. That has been the strategy. You'll see Karl Malone here try to shake Polynice. Polynice with the good footwork that time forced the turnover.
Karl Malone, 2 shots.
Olden Polynice on that foul.
And I think also we need to give Karl Malone a little bit of credit. The rap on Karl is if you body up against him, if you make it physical, he will lose his cool, start taking bad shots, and maybe pick up a technical or 2. He has remained calm in this series. They have been pounding him since game 1. He's spent a lot of time on the free throw line, as I mentioned, but he's definitely not getting anything easy.
He's yet to miss today in 5 tries. He's shooting now to put his club in front by 1 with 55 seconds left. 21-20. Grant working off the Edwards screen. Manning over Malone. The basket's good, and a foul on Karl Malone.
They had a whole lot of success early going to Danny Manning. He has been lost in the offense the last 3 minutes or so. They wanted to pick up some early fouls on Karl Malone. The pump fake here gets him up in the air, and there is a foul in the basket.
John Stockton back in for Utah.
Well, you're right, Jack. Jerry Sloan coming back with John Stockton, so he didn't let him sit out. for the rest of the first quarter.
Well, it's very clear that the Utah Jazz definitely not the team they are with him in the game. He does such a good job of running the offense and giving the ball up.
Utah down 1. Jeff Malone over Grant. And the rebound battle cleared by the Clippers. It's Polynice. Doc Rivers gives it up to Grant. Shot clock at 13, about 7 difference. Gary Grant against Stockton. 5 to shoot.
Edwards and Brown going at it again. They got into a big fight.
And the foul is called against James Edwards.
He and Brown bumping each other, talking a lot to each other, and I think you'll see Mike Mathis and the rest of this crew get a hold of that situation very quickly. You might see a technical.
It's the first in the last 2 minutes against the Clippers, so Utah to throw in from three-quarter court. 9 seconds left in the quarter. Karl Malone to Brown, handing to Stockton on the cut. The open shot for Jeff Malone. Norman the rebound, 2 seconds. An 80-footer is wide left. And after one thrilling quarter of Game 4, it's the Clippers trying to stay alive, leading it by 1, 22-21. Just under 7,500 in the Anaheim Convention Center. Jim Durham with Jack Gibbons. Game 4 here in this Western Conference Series. The Clippers with a 1-point lead, and you talk about in terms of experience, it's the Clippers who have actually more experience coming off the bench. Well, you got a player like James Edwards.
Yeah, if you take Doc Rivers out of that starting lineup, which is the way the Clippers started this series with Grant in there, you take away another 47 games out of the starting lineup. Clippers were very young first game.
Brown bowls his way to the hoop, and it's taken down by Polynice. Utah does a good job of stopping the ball on that initial thrust, but Grant pops free. Polynice is down, and so is Mike Brown off the ball. Utah coming back the other direction. Stockton. James Edwards lost it to Stockton. Now it's Mike Brown over Polynice. Edwards, Blue Edwards, going strong to the hoop and drew the foul in the act of shooting.
And he's going to get 2 free throws out of that. They said he had control of the ball. Edwards will pick up the foul. There have not been a lot of offensive rebounds, though, for the Jazz so far in this game.
Well, you knew that had to happen. Edwards fouled Edwards.
Watch Stockton. Watch him take this ball away from Edwards. A gutsy player.
And Blue Edwards has 3 points in this one. At the conclusion of today's game, Jack Gibbons and I will be selecting the Budweiser Player of the Game. Clippers in possession with that rebound miss. Lloyd Vaught. Edwards on the drive against Eaton. A pitch out to Rivers for 3. Book it.
Well, that's Scott's first basket, first point of this ball game, and that was a good drive. Edwards using his quickness on marking to get to the basket to force the double team.
How many times have you ever seen James Edwards do that, right?
And talk about him having a quickness advantage over his opponent.
Vaught with a throw ahead to Norman. Ken Norman off the pull-up.
Now that's the quick offense. We saw that early in the game.
And that's when the Clippers had some success, and right now they have equaled the largest lead that either team has enjoyed, a 5-point advantage. Stockton falls down, guarded by Grant.
Grant's got to be more physical.
Stockton trying to turn in. Blue Edwards surrounded. They're running out of shot clock. 3 to shoot. The force-up 3 off the side edge. Gary Grant on the push to Norman. Jerry Sloan takes time with 10 minutes left in the half. The Anaheim Convention Center is rocking.
the Clippers now in the midst of a 9-1 run. 29-22 your score, and the way they have done it is getting the quick shot opportunities. James Edwards with the drive, beating Mark Eaton to the basket, sets up Doc Rivers from the outside, and then the Clippers now have gotten their fast break going. Rebounding well on the other end, coming up with steals, and you'll see the quick baskets right here. 3 in a row, 3 shots, 3 makes. I mentioned Norman has been a real pleasant surprise for the Clippers during the series. He's averaging a double-double in the playoffs so far.
Stockton being guarded by Grant. Inside Karl Malone.
Well, how did that pass get through them?
No.
Went through 2 white shirts to get to Malone.
Only Stockton knew there was an opening there.
And he finds it better than anybody.
James Edwards with Eaton out on the floor guarding him, and again it's Edwards trying to drive to the hoop.
Great ball movement.
Sweet ball movement. Vaught to Grant to Harper.
Man, that's just beautiful. That ball didn't stick at all, and the Jazz never had a chance to catch up defensively.
Clippers are 4 of 5 from the field here in the second quarter. Off the ball, Paul Mihalik with a call.
Grant picked up 3 personal fouls on Stockton in about 2 minutes. A little over 2 minutes in the first game when he started. And that was one reason why that guy you're looking at made the change to put Doc Rivers in the lineup. The other thing he said about Doc Rivers, he will get more respect against Stockton than Grant will.
Grant also got that last foul. On the miss by Blue Edwards, it's Loy Vaught giving it up to Grant. Loy Vaught, he's surrounded by purple shirts.
Good decision to back it out.
Yep. Trying to get some spacing on the floor, and now Rivers. And the rebound is out of bounds off of Eaton.
Well, I thought Edwards touched it, and you might see an overrule here. Nope, they're going to leave it just that way. I thought Edwards got a hand on it and knocked it out of bounds.
The Clippers keep it with a 7-point lead, 8:43 remaining in the half. Ron Harper around the James Edwards screen. Sweet half hook for Harper.
I'll tell you what you've seen from the Clippers is a good shot every time down. One thing that the Clippers were notorious for taking the quick shots, the bad shots at the basket. Larry Brown has wiped that out.
Ty Corbin missing and cleared by Grant. James Edwards, a pitch out to Grant. Stockton on him. Grant off the drive and over Eaton.
Oh, tough shot. Tough shot.
Jerry Sloan takes a 20, trying to stem the tide of this 15-3 burst by the Los Angeles Clippers.
Well, see, when you take good shots, you're going to have good results. The Clippers are running their offense right now to perfection. They are using the screens very well. And then the other thing, they have not allowed the Jazz to get to the offensive boards. And then they've gotten a rebound, and that has started their fast break.
My next question would be this, Jack, because of the style of play of the Utah Jazz, can they afford to face a very big deficit?
Well, they're not a real fast breaking team, as we know. They like to run their half-court offense. They like to have Jeff Malone and Karl Malone using the screens. So the more distance between these two teams, the more difficult, obviously, it will be for the Jazz to catch up.
It's been a solid second quarter for the Los Angeles Clippers. 6 out of 8 from the field, while the Jazz are 1 for 7. And as a result, Los Angeles with the biggest lead of this game at 11.
I think what you have to see right here is a better use of the Malones, Karl and Jeff. Either getting Karl Malone somehow to establish himself down low to get some shots at the basket, or allow Jeff Malone to run those screens along the baseline as he does so well.
At the 8-minute mark for the half, Stockton in the Utah front court. Slips the pass to Karl Malone, and they obviously heard you because Karl Malone has a chance at a three-point play.
The pick-and-roll situation, and when it comes that close to the basket, it forces the defense to come right now, or wait, That time the weight came and Malone got to the basket.
Karl Malone today, a lot of free throws, 6 already, 12 points in the game.
If you're going to allow Utah to run that pick and roll, you have to make it come out around the three-point line so that you will have time to get help from the weak side to stop Malone.
13 for Karl Malone. The difference is 8. They've got Manning on top of the floor this time. Utah showing trapping defense. Loy Vaught, and Stockton knocks it out of bounds. The Clippers come in with 10 on the shot clock.
The way the Clippers, though, have been passing the ball, that half-court trap that the Jazz are forced to use here to try to create some more opportunities on the other end, has been ineffective. The extra pass.
Ron Harper triggers to Manning. Now it's Rivers around. Eaton dumps for Smith.
See, that's what I mean right there. The extra pass. Doc Rivers wanted that shot. He saw the double team coming, and the Clippers are looking for the other man.
Charles Smith with 4. Again, the double-digit lead for the Clippers. 7:19 left in the half. Jeff Malone from the baseline. So the 2 Malones with the last 5 points.
They have to do it. I mean, that's where the offense has to come from right now.
Loy Vaught, and Karl Malone with the Jazz rebound. Going hard to the hoop is Karl Malone. Score the basket and a foul.
I really think that pass was intended for Jeff Malone. Karl Malone, though, running the floor so well, just happened to be there, picked it up, and will get a three-point opportunity here.
Well, he went strong to the hoop like a truck driving man, right?
He really did. And you saw Jeff Malone over there in the corner. I think that's where the pass was going.
With guys who have tried to guard him, it probably seems like he is the 18-wheeler instead of behind the wheel.
Hey, what? He plays with as much force as an 18-wheeler.
Ty Corbin with a big rebound for the Jazz. Then Smith on the block. Look at Eaton. It looked like Gulliver's Travels under the basket, didn't it?
He just stood right there, held his arms up. And
a 6-point contest right now in the Anaheim Convention Center. The Clippers, who have been up by 11, enjoying the lead. But the Utah Jazz trying to make the comeback here before halftime. Big height advantage, obviously, to Utah with a 7-4 Eaton, but it's Harper controlling the tip. Charles Smith from 20.
One of those quick shots is not good right now. When you're in control of the game, you want to make sure you keep the pressure on, work for the good shot.
And now it's Utah coming back in a hurry, and again it's Karl Malone getting to the free throw line on the foul.
And see, that's what happens. A good team will take advantage of those opportunities. A poor shot makes it very difficult for you to get back on a balanced defensive transition, and that's what happened to the Clippers.
Karl Malone with 15 points in the contest, 7 for 8 free throwing already. Coming up at halftime, the Prudential halftime report. Ernie Johnson in our Atlanta studios with scores and highlights of today's action, plus a preview of this, a review, I should say, of the entire weekend of action in the NBA playoffs. The 10th attempt for Karl Malone in this first half. He's made good on 9 of them. He's averaging 28.7 in this series. An important trip for the Clippers, and Rivers trying to turn the corner, gets chased out by Eaton and trapped on the side, but it opens up a lane for Manning. And the rebound battle finally taken out by Stockton.
A lot of hands up above the rim that time. Nice fast break.
Ty Corbin on the layup, and very quickly the Utah Jazz are back into the game, and Larry Brown has to burn a timeout as the 11-point lead has been trimmed to 2 with just under 6 minutes remaining.
22nd timeout, Clippers.
A 20-second timeout was whistled. So we will keep it here with exactly 6 minutes left to go in the opening quarter. Well, that answers the question I posed to you earlier, Jack, is can Utah, because of its style of play, make up a big deficit? Well, they made up an 11-point deficit in a hurry.
Did it very quickly. One thing about the Utah Jazz, anytime you have a guy like John Stockton leading the fast break for you, you can score quick basket. Of course, Jeff Malone and Karl Malone do as good a job running the floor as anyone. The thing is, though, if the Clippers come down and do not take a high percentage shot, you're going to give Karl Malone a chance to get the rebound, Eaton a chance to get the rebound, and you're going to have quick scoring opportunities on the other end.
This is an 11-2 run by the Jazz after the Clippers went on that 15-3 stretch. Rivers guarded by Stockton. Charles Smith backs it out against Eaton. 8 on the shot clock. On the pull-up, Ron Harper missing. Also the tip missed. And the ball out of bounds. It belongs to the Jazz with a chance to tie.
Utah is a team that takes advantage of opportunities. Every one the Clippers give them, they've been able to convert.
Jeff Malone gets the shot up under pressure and ties the game.
He shoots so many shots off balance, falling away off the wrong foot. It doesn't matter. He has great touch.
8 points for him. The Jazz drawing even. Charles Smith on the drive. And they got some action to the basket, and Charles Smith has a shot at a three-point play.
Charles has been threatening to take that outside jump shot, and that is forcing Eaton to have to come out and play him. The Clippers have to continue to spread the court just like this to give him opportunities to take Mark Eaton to the basket.
The Clippers are looking for their first free throw of this game. They find it. 7 points for it. Tomorrow on TNT, Game 2 in the Cleveland Cavaliers-Boston Celtics series, the second round over in the East, with the Cavs leading that series 1-0. And we could have Game 5 in this series tomorrow night as part of a doubleheader on TNT, providing, of course, the Clippers win this game. They have the three-point lead with 5:07 left in the half. They send a posse after Smith, and his pass inside skips free, but it's last touch by Utah before it goes out.
But just a little bit late coming on the pass. Harper made the cut down the lane.
But not a good pass anyway.
Not a good pass. I think the Clippers get yet another break. I thought Harper got the hand on that one last.
I'm with you. Now Smith, an over-the-head pass to Rivers. Ty Corbin the rebound. Utah the ball, down 3. Rivers checking Stockton. The lob to Eaton. Knocked loose, but to Karl Malone, and guess who gets fouled going to the hoop?
He has great hands. He has such great hands, and once he catches the ball, he just locks it up down there. No one can get it without fouling.
First foul on Ron Harper in the game, and Karl Malone 9 of 10 from the free throw line. 17 points in this one. He's got 6 rebounds to go with that.
As I say, coming into this game, he has had 41 free throws already in this series.
You know, we talked about the experience of the Utah Jazz. They are among the leaders in the NBA in terms of playoff appearances, consecutive, 9 in a row. But I think we need to add to that experience factor the fact that they have not really experienced success.
That's right.
In the playoffs.
Have had trouble making it past the second round. They have not done it in those 9 trips.
Smith has it tipped away by Stockton. A loose ball pickup to Harper. Missed the 360 against Mount Eaton. And now Eaton nearly lost the ball to Norman from behind.
Norman almost took it away.
Jeff Malone fires.
Told you about Utah being a very opportunistic team. Give them a chance, give them a break. They're going to take advantage of it.
Now they have taken the lead. Again, underneath to Charles Smith. Good recognition by Ken Norman.
Well, that extra pass. We've talked about it. The Clippers, when they have looked their best, have not hesitated to give the ball up to the teammate.
Stockton tries the three. His 5th of the series. Stockton is the only Utah player with a 3-point field goal. He is 5 of 9 from 3-point range. The Clippers the ball down 2. Danny Manning in deep. Eaton on the miss.
He wanted to bump on Karl Malone, and see how Malone runs the floor. I mean, you just see he does the job defensively, and Danny Manning is back complaining to the officials, and Karl Malone is doing his job, running the floor.
Timeout taken Clippers. They have fallen behind by 4 with 3:10 left in the half. Back in the Anaheim Convention Center, where the twice postponed Game 4 is now in progress here between the Jazz and the Clippers, and it's Utah on the run. They have opened up a 4-point lead, while earlier today in Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks eliminated the Detroit Pistons to move on to the semifinal round of the East against the Chicago Bulls. And it was the Portland Trail Blazers winning Game 4 of that matchup with the Lakers and winning it handily, and Portland moves on to play Phoenix. Ernie Johnson at the half on the Prudential Halftime Report recaps today's playoff action and a review of all the weekend activity. The Clippers could use a hoop, and they punch into Norman to get it.
Benoit just checked into the game, a little bit trouble finding his assignment, and the Clippers take advantage of him very quickly.
Jeff Malone guarded by Ron Harper.
Benoit got a lot of minutes early in the season.
Inside again to Malone, and again he's fouled, and again he'll shoot 2. Ken Norman says, I think the foul should be the other way.
He thought Malone pushed off, and I think in fact he did. But he's not going to get this call. You'll see how aggressively Malone attacks the basket here. Gets Polonese on his back, and there's the push-off. I think Norman has an argument there.
Ken Norman with his 2nd foul.
Might be able to see it better there. I think Malone probably should have been called for the offensive foul there.
Instead, this will be the 14th attempt that Malone has had from the free throw line, and he's good on 13 of them. 23 points for Malone. Utah enjoying a 4-point lead. Its biggest has been 5.
He has to find a way to score, and he has here today, making the free throws.
Manning looking in, the shot clock at 10. Manning is fouled by Eaton.
Well, Manning has been complaining to the officials, feeling as though he's been bumped. He's been pushed as he has taken the ball to the basket. Eaton, though, doesn't like that call. He feels he stood his ground, and he also thinks the call should have gone the other way.
Manning has really struggled at the free throw line in this series, 58%. He's 1 for 2 today and has 11. And the Clippers take the 1-point advantage with 2:19 left before halftime. Malone to Eaton, and Utah turns it over. They've had a few turnovers today, although for the last 5 or 6 minutes they've been relatively free.
The Clippers did a real good job that time rotating on Malone. The double team came on Stockton to force him to give it up. Malone saw another double team coming, tried to get the quick pass to Eaton. He's not going to handle that one.
It's the Clippers facing a 1-point deficit here at 48-47. Harper thought he got pushed from behind. The ball simply out of bounds to Utah.
2 minutes remaining in the first half. 2 minutes.
Stockton drops it for Jeff Malone. And the long rebound. Ty Corbin that's for the pickup and knocked off his leg by Grant. And a technical foul on Ty Corbin.
Now that's the second technical, at least Tyrone Corbin has picked up in this series. But he worked so hard. I mean, he worked so hard. He has given the Jazz such effective minutes coming off the bench. We'll see the replay here. Does it get his leg or not? Hard to tell from that angle. It sure looked like it, though.
Paul Mihalik was right on top of it.
Yes.
That Harper free throw ties the game.
See the reaction there, and you see the whistle. You see the Mihalik making the call.
Jerry Sloan has had a run-in with an official or two in his career.
Yes, I think you're right. Not only as a coach, but as a player also.
Here's Harper under pressure, gets it out to Norman, and he fires. Corbin got the block, but a foul is called on Corbin.
See, that's the problem right there with picking up a technical. Anything close, he's going to get the call. He's going to get the call made against him, and that's going to force Jerry Sloan to bring Benoit back in the game.
David Benoit played briefly earlier in this quarter. Jerry Sloan carrying on a conversation with Mike Mathis across the way.
It was interesting watching Mike watch Tyrone Corbin after he made the call. They gave each other the evil eye, and Corbin very smartly backs away.
No time to pick up that second technical.
You're right about that. He's very valuable to the Jazz.
Ken Norman's 2 free throws put the Clippers up by 2 with 1:30 left to go before halftime. Stockton being chased by Grant on the perimeter.
The Clippers now double teaming out of that pick and roll, forcing Stockton to give it up a little bit quicker than he wants to.
Malone on the turnover. That was the 11th turnover for Utah.
Watch the spreading on this offensive set.
Polynice gives it up to Harper. Harper, quick drive baseline. Left it a little short. Benoit the rebound, and now it's Stockton advancing.
When you spread the court like that, you'll see drives to the basket.
Picked out of there by Manning, and he's fouled in the backcourt by Stockton.
Tell you what, Clippers defensively, they've been impressive the last 3-4 minutes.
That's the second team foul in the last 2 minutes. So Utah over the limit, and Danny Manning to shoot 2.
Watch how quickly Manning gets over to pick this one off.
Actually, it looked like they threw it right to him, didn't it?
Going down to Karl Malone as Jeff took the trip out to the corner.
There you see the free throw problems Manning has had in this series. A much better free throw shooter in the regular season, 73%, but today he's 1 for 3. Now Doc Rivers returns for the Clippers, and
Doc Rivers in for the Clippers.
Who's out? All right, they've got Grant, Rivers, Harper, Manning, and Polynice.
Well, with this lineup for the Jazz, it's not going to be a problem for the Clippers to go small right now. That's the reason why they got Smith out of the lineup, got Norman out of there. They have come with a smaller, quicker lineup, and you'll see them try to get some traps with this team on the floor.
Shot clock is at 8. Stockton on the drive beats Harper baseline. Left the reverse short, but the tip-in is made by Benoit.
That's why they like him right there. He's been bothered by the serious illness of his father. His father, very young, dying of cancer.
Ron Harper on the backdoor cut. He's got 13.
Another nice pass. Benoit has missed the practice time. Every opportunity he gets, he goes back home to be with his father.
There's about 1 second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Shot clock at 7. Benoit missed the dunk. tries to save, but to the Clippers with 2 seconds. They run out of time on the way to the hoop. Well, now one clock has 1 second on it, and the other clock has no time left. But the official verdict is no time left, and thus no basket. So at the half in the Anaheim Convention Center, Game 4 so far has been a good one. LA Clips by 3.
All right, they've played 24 minutes at the Anaheim Convention Center, site of Game 4 of the Jazz-Clippers series, and it's the Clippers by 3. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta with the Prudential halftime report. The other Western Conference first-round series, which had a change of venue because of the problems in Los Angeles, ended today in Las Vegas with the Blazers eliminating the Lakers. Mike Dunleavy on the sidelines at the Thomas & Mack Center at UNLV. Terry Porter on the sidelines, too, after he nails the long three-pointer. 5-0 Portland. Kevin Duckworth tries to add to that lead. Look at the Lakers playing the good defense. The swat away, and here they come. Sedale Threatt has a few minutes to check out this Jay and then buries it. 1-point game. Second period, the Lakers hanging with them. Eldon Campbell. Guy is tough defensively. Just ask Jerome Kersey. That's a facial in the second period. But it's Kersey with the alley-oop. Clyde Drexler. Blazers by 11. Second quarter, Vlade Divac is stripped. Portland with the bucket on the other end. Divac with the frustration on his end. Third period, and they start to pour it on. Inside, that's Drexler. It's a 51-33 game for the Blazers in the third. Fourth period, Byron Scott off the mark. Clyde Drexler, Cliff Robinson. Portland making this thing look easy. And then it's Drexler who led him with 26 points. Through the lane, up by 25. They would win by 26. The final, 102-76, so the Blazers advance to take on the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference semifinals. And how, you asked, did those two teams fare this season? Well, the Suns won the season series 3-2. Portland, one of the best rebounding teams in the league, with an 82-58 advantage off the offensive boards. Of course, they're going to have to contend with that great backcourt from Phoenix. Kevin Johnson and Jeff Hornacek averaging over 25 points a game in that series. When the Prudential halftime report continues, the Eastern Conference story. Game 5 of the Knicks-Pistons series. New York's making travel plans. Convention Center, the Clippers and Jazz at the break as the Prudential halftime report continues. At the Garden in New York today, the Knicks and Pistons took center stage, the final game of their first-round series. The survivor rewarded with a best-of-7 against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Some reward. We go to Madison Square Garden. There's Bill Laimbeer, going back a few years, got the Bad Boys T-shirt on and some of that Detroit, New York stuff that we've been seeing the whole series. Oakley with the flagrant on Dennis Rodman. First period, Pistons had a 3-point lead. Mark Jackson questioned about whether or not he could go with that sore thigh. Yeah, wind him up, watch him go. Off the glass, cuts the lead to 1. Second period, Gerald Wilkins with some good defense here, but Dennis Rodman has some good D of his own. Going to swat away the Wilkins shot, but there's Patrick saying, I'll take advantage of that thing and jam it down. 38-35, Pat Riley's guys at the half. Third period, the shot of the game by Joe Dumars. Off the glass with the foul. 3-point play, 54-51 Pistons. But Pat Ewing and the Knicks would not be denied today. The big guy had 31, goes up and over John Sally, 59-54 New York. Isaiah Thomas leads a late Detroit surge, but it wasn't enough. That cut the lead to 6. But Greg Anthony just knifes through the lane here. 70-62 New York. And then John Starks, the three-point bomber, makes a nice catch here. Gets it under control and then drains the three-pointer. They were up 87-76 at that point. The Knicks advance with a 94-87 win. Detroit is knocked out, but Isaiah says, hey, you just got to hand it to the Knicks.
They played well. They played hard. They were more of a disciplined team than we were. They executed well. They did the little things to win the basketball game.
Definitely was a very physical series. Both Detroit and ourselves are big, the bruises. But I felt that we kept our poise when it could have gotten out of hand, and we got the job done.
It's kind of an eerie feeling to know that that you're out of the playoffs in the first round. There are 3 more series to be played, and we're not involved in any of them. And that's, as I said before, it's been 7 years since I had the whole month of May off. Well, I don't even know what goes on in May.
Bulls are an experienced team that have been there. It took them 4 excruciatingly tough years to get there. I mean, they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Pistons, 3 consecutive years, and then finally they had their day. That's what it takes. It takes experience, it takes nurturing, it takes adversity, it takes misery, it takes winning, it takes all of those things, and so they've experienced the gamut of that, and that's why they're solid.
So it is the Knicks who get the Bulls in the Eastern semis. Meantime, the other side of that bracket has the Cavs and Celtics who play Game 2 tomorrow night on TNT. Cleveland looking to take a 2-0 lead over Chris Ford's troops. Yesterday at Richfield Coliseum, Reggie Lewis stakes him to an early 10-3 lead. Cleveland was ice cold to begin with. Robert Parrish knocks away the Larry Nance shot. And then we have some turnabout on the other side. Nance with the rejection on the Chief. Mark Price running the show for Cleveland, calls his own number and lays it in off the glass. They're up by 2 after 1. Kevin Gamble had a 22-point day to lead Boston. The left hand bounces around and goes. But it's Mark Price again. Knocks it away from John Bagley. Brad Daugherty, is he going to feed Price? Little ball fake off the glass. 53-44 Cleveland with the lead. Steve Kerr into the third quarter. Write that thing down. 76-61, a 14-2 run. John Bagley to Rick Fox's Boston tries to make a move in the fourth period, cuts the lead to 8. Too much Brad Daugherty, though. 26 points, 17 rebounds. The Cavs win this one going away. The final is 101-76. Boston really takes a beating, and give a listen to the Chief.
Well, it feels bad because we played so poorly. We didn't play very well today, so definitely was a large slice of humble pie for us, so it goes to show you what can happen when you don't have the intensity and the right frame of mind. And so hopefully this will be a learning tool for us, and we can regroup and come back on Monday.
Man, it has been a while since Boston had a game like that when the Celtics had won 11 straight and 18 of 19 before Saturday. Now, one of the matchups drawing a lot of attention in that series, Brad Daugherty against the Chief, Robert Parrish. Brad had the numbers in game 1, 26 points, 17 rebounds. The battle at the point, Mark Price and John Bagley, 2 big reasons these teams are where they are. Price with the edge in game 1. Check out the turnovers and steals for these two. They'll get together again tomorrow night, and you will see it here on TNT. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals live from Richfield Coliseum. They'll tip it off at 8 on TNT. Full week of the NBA playoffs now, and as you make your viewing plans for the week, you might want to jot this one down for Tuesday night. For sure, we have a doubleheader. New York and Chicago, game 1 of that Eastern Conference semifinal, followed by Phoenix and Portland, game 1 of that Western Conference semifinal. And folks, we might have a doubleheader tomorrow night. We got Boston and Cleveland, game 2 of that series, for sure at 8 o'clock. We might have the Clippers and Utah, game 5, if game 5 is necessary. And right now, it is necessary because the Clippers have a 3-point lead over Utah. Let's go back to the Anaheim Convention Center. Jim Durham and the Goose, guys.
All right, Ernie, and I tell you what, Jack, in this first half, I think both teams have to be happy with what has transpired to this point.
I think you're right. It's been a total half of runs. The Clippers first put together a big run. The Jazz bounced right back with a very impressive run of their own, and then the Clippers ended out the first half of play with an impressive run. And it's all been transition offense that has led to the baskets for both teams. You see the Jazz right here in the offense. Karl Malone with the pass from Stockton, which, boy, you've heard that a lot, and you'll hear it a lot more before this is over. But Grant with the nice bounce pass to Harper. So both teams have been very effective in the open floor. Both teams have run the floor very well.
49% shooting for Utah in the first half. The Clippers at 52%. And at the free throw line, the Jazz, of course, on the strength of Karl Malone shooting 14 of their 18 free throws. A big edge there. Turnovers, Utah with 12, 8 for the Clippers, and as a result, points off turnovers, the Clippers with the edge there. Stockton with 64 assists in this series, and that, by the way, is a 4-game series playoff record. Magic Johnson had the old mark of 57. If you're wondering, should this go to a game 5, Magic has that also at 85, but John Stockton could very easily get that one too should it go to a 5-game series.
He might reach that today, the way he's passing the ball.
One nice thing, the shot clocks above the basket appear to be working as the second half begins. 8 to shoot. Stockton leaves it for Jeff Malone. Now it's Karl Malone They're against the red light, and Jeff on the bailout missing, and the rebound tipped away to Manning. So the Clippers get the stop they were looking for. Ken Norman strong to the basket, and it's cleared out by Eaton, and then Eaton is fouled. Loose ball foul against the Clips.
Norman, I think, a little frustrated that he missed that opportunity. He thought Eaton was going to try for the block. Eaton backed up, and Norman with the finger roll instead of attacking the basket missed an opportunity for an easy one.
As a result, he picked up his third foul of the game, and again we have 24-second problems.
I don't know if it's just that they didn't start the clock on time. Both shot clocks show 24. They were down to 23. And I think they must have just started it late that time, so they still will operate.
They appear to be synchronized now. Well, we went back in time in the first half and used the shot clocks of the opposite corners of the court, much the way it was done back in the 50s when we had the innovation of the 24-second clock in the NBA, and it was done all the way into the early 70s.
Well, I'm so glad I don't remember back into the 50s when they did that.
And you can go back to 1970 to find an important pro game played here. It was an NBA playoff game. Stockton hitting. Later on, we'll get into that. It's a 1-point lead for the Clippers as Utah comes up with the first 2 points of the second half. We've played a little over a minute.
Stockton really hasn't looked for much offense in this game. He has done a real good job of distributing the basketball as he does.
So on the fade, Manning missing. Charles Smith over Eaton. And the loose ball to Jeff Malone. Over the top, Karl Malone. He had the shot blocked by Smith. Harper spinning free of Stockton. Ooh, Harper passed off, and now he wishes he hadn't because a foul was called.
Well, he heard the whistle, and I think had the whistle not come, it would have been a nice pass. You'll see the help come from the weak side. Malone working against Norman down there. Smith got over there very quickly, got a hand on it, and it started the fast break.
Jeff Malone whistled for the foul. That's his first team foul on Utah here in the third. I'm sorry, that's his
first team foul.
Jeff Malone's third personal foul. Fans wanted a foul on Stockton as the Clippers came into Rivers. .12 on the shot clock. Ron Harper over Karl Malone. And Manning follows, and he's fouled by Eaton.
He did such a good job that time of putting his body on Eaton. He saw that the shot was going to be a little long. He kept Eaton away from that side of the basket, and those long arms by Danny Manning let him get that shot off. You'll see Harper falling away from the corner. You might not see that Manning put the body on Eaton, but you will see the nice second effort right here.
Danny Manning with an important three-point opportunity, and he converts. Manning with 15.
Manning has to get his confidence from the free throw line. He's been there too much to be shooting in the 50s here in this series.
So far tonight, 3 out of 5. Jeff Malone unloads. Jeff Malone with 12. Ken Norman drops it for Charles Smith. He shoots the long one over Eaton.
See if he makes that shot. Now Eaton really has to come out and play him, and the Clippers will keep spreading that offense. Just keep it wide open, and Smith, you'll see him take the ball to the basket the next time.
Stockton driving on Rivers. There's Karl Malone trapped. Now Jeff Malone with a 13-footer. Rebounded Norman. And the ball out of bounds. It was forced out by Stockton.
Good
he
position.
Forced the Clippers into that turnover.
Good position by Stockton. Just held his ground, forced the turnover.
In the regular season series, Utah won 3 of the 4 games played. They would like to do the same in this playoff series.
Look for Karl Malone on the low post against Norman.
Blue Edwards. And Rivers the rebound. The Clippers looking to go up 6. Ken Norman. Smith for an open Harper, takes up slack and hits it over Eaton.
There's that ball movement again that helped the Clippers to the lead in the first half.
Ron Harper with 15. In the first half, the Clippers led by as many as 11 on occasion. Here's a foul on Rivers. He contested the dribble of John Stockton.
And Doc can't believe it. They have been bumping each other on both ends of the floor. And he gets that called against him.
2 team fouls against the Clippers here in the third. Stockton has lost the dribble, plays into Karl Malone against Manning. On the fade, Malone scoring out of the post. That's his 6th basket of this game. He's got 25 points. A lot of that on the strength of 13 out of 14 from the free throw line.
I'm surprised the double team didn't come. They allowed Malone to work one-on-one.
Charles Smith from long range. So far, so good, Jack.
Well, Eaton has to respect his quickness from there. And Eaton is backing off, trying to say, you've got to make this shot. And Smith is making it.
Jeff Malone picked up by Manning in the switch. Rivers guarding Stockton. Now Karl Malone out to Stockton for 3. Wide right. Blue Edwards tried to save, but it's out of bounds to the Clippers.
Well, there was the double team that time. You saw them, the Clippers come back there and force Karl Malone to give the ball up. Well, I've never seen Stockton miss one that badly.
From the left side, he was wide right. This is a big defensive stand for the Jazz right here. Harper leaves it for Manning. Gets bumped and shoots on Edwards, and a foul on Edwards, and Manning shoots 2.
By the late whistle that time, Blue thought he had gotten away with one.
First personal, 3rd team foul.
3 team fouls on Utah. But here's the importance of Danny Manning needing to knock in these free throws for Los Angeles. Actually, the 3 out of 5 today is better than he's been in the series.
Yeah. Well, as I say, he's been there so much, and he's going to get there so many more times. You saw the bump right there by Blue Edwards.
7:20 left in the third. And the Manning free throw puts the Clippers up 7. Timeout Utah. 7:16 left in the third. LA 63, Utah 56. Well, today's game is not the first time a pro basketball playoff game has been played here in the Convention Center. Ron Boone, doing the broadcast for the Utah Jazz back to Salt Lake, played for the Dallas Chaparrals in an ABA playoff game here 22 years ago. And they went up against the LA Stars and Mac Calvin, who is somewhere in that huddle. He's the man with the back to us. Mac Calvin was the star guard for the LA Stars, and Mac Calvin, what a day. 44 points and 16 assists.
I was sitting talking to Mac and Ron Boone right before the game started. And I told Ron, I thought you were a much better defensive player than that. And of course, Ron said I was not guarding Mac Calvin that game. And then the next thing he did, he took that article and went back in the back and he burned it. He didn't want anyone else to see it.
7,400 making some noise now in Anaheim. A 7-point lead for the Clippers. Trying to stay alive in this playoff set. Jeff Malone missing and Harper the rebound.
Wow, this building is as loud as the LA Coliseum. Although it's a smaller crowd, they are very vocal.
That may have been part of the reason why they opted to move it here. They knew they'd get that vocal support. Shot clock at 10. Harper dumping into Rivers on the reverse, and the follow is good by Manning.
I really like the ball movement, the very unselfish play. And if you want to talk about Larry Brown, I think that is the one thing more than anything he has brought to this team. A good atmosphere that these guys love to work in.
Karl Malone is fouled going to the hoop. As Jack pointed out in the first half, whenever the Jazz get in trouble, put the ball in Stockton's hands and run something for one of them alone. Manning and Norman have been holding their own against Malone and Edwards.
The real problem there is Blue Edwards has not had a real good series offensively. His point production down just a little bit here in this series. Blue, though, has been effective defensively, and he's rebounded well. The Clippers, 52 free throws. Malone, 44.
A couple more to that. That's 15 out of 16 for Karl Malone in this game. 6:18 left in the third. Ken Norman out front to Harper. Now Rivers attacking the basket. Left it loose for Harper. Had the hook blocked. Here's a follow by Rivers.
They're just outworking the Jazz right now. I don't know any other way to put it. When you see a team come up with as many loose balls, as many easy baskets as the Clippers have gotten here in the last 2 or 3 minutes, they're just outworking the opposition.
Malone over Smith. 29 points for Karl Malone. He had 32 for a high in this series.
Jazz now coming with some trapping of their own.
But it's leading to some easy baskets for the Clippers.
I talked about their quickness on the front line, especially when they go small, and they're going to continue to do that against the trap.
Now the Clippers trying to trap on Stockton. Rivers the rebound. Spins out of the pack on the push. Leaves it for Harper. A 3-try. Rimming no. And Manning out hustles Eaton to the ball. Norman the dunk. Jerry Sloan takes time. The Clippers have equaled their largest lead with 5:07 left in the third. And the convention center here in Anaheim is bedlam.
I tell you, they're just outworking the Jazz right now around the offensive boards. They seem to be a lot quicker than the Jazz right now. They seem to be more involved on both ends, but especially around the offensive boards.
You know, Jack, if you're a Utah team, then we talked about this in the first half, they haven't experienced a lot of playoff success, and especially so when they go on the road. They reach a point, and the deficit reaches a certain level where it's going to be difficult for them to come back. Maybe not so much from a physical sense, but mentally.
Yeah, mentally, and I think you might have to start considering now maybe whether or not spending those extra days sitting around the hotel is starting to come into play as far as mental fatigue. Now you'll see the the Clippers right here. Harper's going to miss this. Now Eaton's going to come up with the rebound, but watch Danny Manning. Now was there a foul? I don't know, but when you're outworking the opposition, you're going to get away with more calls like that. The officials are going to let you be more effective, more aggressive. They're going to let you be a little bit more physical, and they're going to let some of those plays go. All right, look at the rebounds here in this third period. I think that tells the story right there, and a lot of those coming on the offensive end of the floor.
After leading at halftime by 3, the Clippers have extended it out to an 11-point lead, and Elgin Baylor has to like what he sees right now. As well as Mr. Sterling, the owner of the Clippers, said, move on by if you would. Sort of like Billy Crystal said earlier tonight to you when you wanted him to come over and visit.
Yeah, he said
he did say, you look marvelous.
He did say that, and I appreciate that, but he also said, I'm not talking to you tonight. No, he was very gracious about it. He said he would love to, but he said, this is the Clippers night. He said, I don't want to steal any of the thunder. This is a team that is definitely on the rise. This is my team, and put them on camera tonight. Give them the glory. I don't want any part of that.
Utah makes a change out of that timeout. Mike Brown is in for Eaton.
Yeah, they need some physical play. They need some quickness at the center position.
Jeff Malone, tough shot. Clippers coming away with a rebound. They're 12. Harper going to the hoop. And a foul call. Ron Harper to shoot 2.
This crowd they haven't sat down in a long time now. They are going to catch a breather right here as Harper goes to the free throw line. But if he makes this, you think it's been loud in here to this point, well, it would have exploded in here.
That foul is on Ty Corbin. Harper 1 for 1 from the line in the first half, 15 points for him. He's actually 6 for 8 in the series. The Clippers with their biggest advantage at 12 as we check the Chevrolet scoreboard. New York winning by 7 today to wrap up that series against Detroit. And Portland wrapped it up against the Los Angeles Lakers in Las Vegas, winning handily. Portland moves on, and they will host the Phoenix Suns in the semifinals here in the Western Conference Series. Utah facing a 12-point deficit this trip.
Now the important thing right now for the Clippers is to maintain this edge through the rest of this period. And on the same token, it's important for the Jazz to make a run here and cut into it.
Stockton gets fouled as he got into the lane.
Fouls on Doc Rivers.
Rivers on the foul. That's his second. 14 fouls.
I like the way Larry Brown has rotated Charles Smith and Olden Polynice in guarding Karl Malone. They have kept a fresh body on him the entire time, not giving either of those guys a chance to get tired against Malone, because as soon as you get tired, he's going to get a quick basket.
Stockton with that free throw. He has 9 points tonight. 2 out of 3 from the foul line. And now we have a 10-point contest. The Clippers the lead in the ball. Rivers at the controls. Inside it's Harper. A posse arrives, and Manning gets the layup in front of Mike Brown.
Well, that's the reason Brown was checked into the game, to give him some quickness at the center position. He turned his head just enough to allow Manning to sneak in behind him.
Screen roll, Stockton around the Malone pick. Corbin had it chopped away, but a foul on Danny Manning.
Foul charge to Danny Manning.
And Danny Manning goes out with Charles Smith in. So now it is Smith, Polynice, and Norman up front for the Clippers. Rivers and Harper in the backcourt. Utah with Karl Malone, Mike Brown, and Ty Corbin up front. Jeff Malone and Blue Edwards in the backcourt. Stockton is out for the time being.
I don't anticipate Stockton spending a lot of time on the bench over there, though. He has to be in this game, especially if the Jazz are going to make a run.
Corbin trying to pull Utah to within 10. 74-64 with just about 4 minutes remaining, third quarter. Rivers guarded by Malone. The open man is Norman.
That's a good shot right there.
Harper the long rebound. Harper gets inside and scoops for Smith. And again the rebound contested, and it's out of bounds which way? You have a jump ball, says Lee Jones.
I think the Jazz touched it last, though. But the jump ball will come.
Gary Grant ready to come back in.
Good crew here working the game tonight, led by Mike Mathis.
All 3 veteran officials, Paul Mihalik, Mike Mathis, and Lee Jones. 3:41 remaining in the third as this timeout is taken with the Clippers in front by 10. Jack Gibbons, this is Jim Durham in the Anaheim Convention Center. Game 4 in this Western Conference matchup. The Utah Jazz leading the series 2-1, but it's the Clippers leading the game by 10. And with 3:41 left in the third, should this lead hold, the deciding Game 5 would be played tomorrow night in the Delta Center in Salt Lake. And we would have that for you on TNT as part of a doubleheader. Jump ball here, Blue Edwards and Ron Harper. And it's out of bounds. Which way?
Well, they're going to give it to the Clippers.
Lee Jones had the call right. He said white, but he went the other direction. So Harper to throw in. Harper getting in the lane, has it swatted away by Mike Brown and tracked down by Jeff Malone.
Mike Brown's going to have to make his presence felt around the basket on the defensive end of the floor particularly. And if he can get a putback on the offensive boards, that'll be a plus.
Blue Edwards trying to get free. Jeff Malone with a 15-footer.
Yeah, I think Jeff needs to make a couple shots from the outside, and that will make it a whole lot easier for Karl Malone down low.
14 points for Jeff Malone. It's an 8-point lead for the Clippers this trip. About 3 minutes left in the third. Charles Smith in the post, guarded by Karl Malone. 5 to shoot. Harper rimming no, and on the rebound a whistle. It's a foul against the Clippers.
I think Michael Brown holding on to Olden Polynice.
You are right.
Yeah, I tell you, they've been going at each other, and I said Brown has to be physical down low, and he is trying to keep those Clippers off the offensive boards. He needs some help down there, though.
So Polynice on the free throw line. He is 1 for 4 free throwing in the series. Big edge for the Clippers in rebounding here in the second half. We talked when we went on the air this afternoon that, of course, that has been a major factor in whichever team has won in the series. The team that wins the rebound battle also wins the game. Olden Polynice trying to reestablish that 10-point margin. Karl Malone the rebound. Utah with a chance to trim it to 7. The Clippers have led by as many as 12. Malone is fouled by Smith going to the basket, and the fans wanted a travel call.
Smith thought he got all ball. Now we'll see if they say Malone is in the act of shooting. Of course, the bonus situation is here, so he will get 2 free throws regardless.
The replay appeared to give the argument to Charles Smith.
I think so.
Anyway, with 2:49 left in the third, it's Karl Malone back to the free throw line. Not quite a full house in the Anaheim Convention Center, but remember, the spillover crowd is in a nearby room watching the game on big screen TVs. I guess they simply don't realize there's some empty seats here. If they wanted to come over, they could watch it here. There you get a look at the crowd of 7,400 or so. Here's free throw number 17 attempted by Karl Malone in this game. He has hit 16 of them.
Well, pretty good percentage there, huh?
He's got 30.
You know, it's one thing to get physical, which is what the Clippers want to do. But the way to do that is not to do it in the act of shooting. Send this guy to the free throw line this many times. You want to cut down on his opportunities to score, but he's still getting them there from the free throw line.
The Jazz have hit 100 free throw opportunities in this series. The Clippers the ball in an 8-point lead. Polynice out on the floor against Mike Brown. Shot clock at 7. Gary Grant dumps it for Harper.
That's a nice move on the air ball.
Missed it wildly, and now Jeff Malone coming right back. Takes it all the way to the hoop. The rebound foul blocked by Charles Smith. Ball out of bounds which way? The Jazz keep it at their end with 2:04 left in the third.
Smith has been active away from the ball. Coming over to help out. You got to remember now he is guarding Karl Malone, so he's had to wait and pick his moments to do that.
Doc Rivers coming back in for the Clippers.
Doc Rivers
for Harper.
Ron Harper for the Clippers.
Shot blocks are even today, 5 apiece. Mark Eaton gets 5 blocks in his sleep, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Just being on the floor, he's going to pick him up without even doing anything except holding his hands straight up in the air.
And a foul called on the inbounds pass against the Clippers. It's on Rivers.
His third personal.
So Mike Brown to the free throw line for Utah. That's 3 fouls on Rivers. And Brown has not been on the line today, but in this series, perfect in 8 tries.
As I say, that's the way he can make his presence felt on the floor, around the boards, on both ends, picking up the garbage baskets and opportunities just like this one on the free throw line.
Quite often in playoff settings, Jack, you find that what worked for you during the regular season in terms of your bench and people who contribute off of it, your bench gets much shorter in the playoffs, and I sort of sense that's the case with Utah.
Yeah, you know, Jerry Sloan gave those young, he has 4 rookies on the team. He gave them a lot of time during the regular season. He has taken the minutes away from those in an attempt to give his starters more time on the floor.
So it's imperative that a player like Mike Brown give him a contribution. Here's a foul called. It's not a charge. It's on Karl Malone. 2 fouls on Malone.
See the bump here. One that could have gone either way. Smith with the little fake. Malone didn't buy it. And there's the bump. Could have gone either way.
Charles Smith made his only free throw attempt in the first half today. He is 5 of 5 from the free throw line in this series. That free throw puts the Clippers in front by 7. Tomorrow on TNT, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers trying to make it 2 in a row against the Boston Celtics and thus maintain the home court edge in that round. And we would, should the Clippers win this game tonight, have game 5 from the Delta Center as part of a doubleheader on TNT tomorrow night. After the free throw miss, the lead stays at 7, minute 40 left for the third. Gary Grant guarding Jeff Malone. 8 on the shot clock. They punch inside to Corbin, who misses, and Malone the follow. That's also missed. And the rebound tipped out of bounds. Utah gets it with a new 24.
And Malone wants the foul. He felt he got bumped. He came over and knocked the ball out of the hands of the official. I'm surprised we didn't see a technical foul there.
Malone in double figures in rebounding. He's got 11. Jeff Malone against Grant. Rivers picks it off.
Well, that's what happens when Stockton is out of the game.
Ahead to Manning, and it's carried out of bounds by Blue Edwards. No foul call.
No foul on that one. Talking about Jeff Malone when he's on the offensive end of the floor. Now he has to run the point guard spot, which means instead of using the screens along the baseline, getting shots for himself, he has to set up the other people. Takes away a lot from the Jazz offense.
Rivers being defended by Blue Edwards. Manning against Corbin. Half hook. Rimming no. Polynice missing on the tip. And on the rebound, a foul against the Clippers as Ty Corbin with a strong effort under the hoop.
That missed opportunity by Polynice is one that might come back to haunt the Clippers. He had a good look at the basket on this miss. Watch him. Both hands right here. He pushes off a little bit. And then because of his, the fact that he doesn't have great hands, he's not able to come up with that second opportunity.
Larry Brown is going to call on James Edwards. For the last minute of the third, Corbin nails the free throw.
I think you'll see the Clippers very quickly go to Edwards, give him a chance to shoot that patented turnaround jump shot from the low post.
Without Eaton in the game, they don't have a big player, or a tall player, I should say, to match up with Edwards.
A difference in the clock. 59 seconds on one. Now they have taken it down to 58, and the clock's matched now.
When the first half came to an end today, we had the same thing. One clock had no time left, and the other still had a second remaining. Mathis making the explanation to both coaches. And now Ty Corbin getting ready for that second free throw.
Well, that's a tough break right there because Corbin had made the free throw in the act of shooting when the whistle blew. He made that one. They took it away, of course, after the whistle blew. And he misses the second one here.
Gary Grant at the controls. Rivers gives it up to Grant. Polynice under pressure. They swing it to the open man. It's Rivers, and Doc Rivers will shoot two.
Well, that trapping defense of the Jazz really has not been effective at all against the Clippers. The Clippers have done an excellent job of spreading the floor when the Jazz go to those traps, making the Jazz have to run a long distance to catch up with the passing.
Ty Corbin with the foul, and that's his fourth. The first free throw attempt of the game for Doc Rivers. David Benoit is in. Corbin goes out for Utah. David Benoit, 6'8" rookie. Blue Edwards trying to track down the loose ball and does. And now it's Stockton back at the controls. Pull up three. Going for a 2-for-1, and that's a big basket.
Yeah, just coming off the bench. It's a huge basket.
It cuts it to 4. The Jazz will get it again on 24-second possession. The shot clock is at 17, about 4 difference. Rivers being pressured by Blue Edwards.
There's the trap. There's the ball movement.
Manning inside.
Trap and the pass.
Stockton trying to get 3. Another 3. John Stockton, 2 cold-blooded shots here in the final seconds of the third, and it's a 3-point game.
You remember how badly he missed his first 3-point attempt, or the first one of this half?
Off the rim was the heave by Gary Grant. And thanks to John Stockton, the Utah Jazz are hanging in. The Clipper lead down to 3 after 3. Minutes remaining in regulation here in Game 4 in the Anaheim Convention Center, with the Los Angeles Clippers clinging to a 3-point lead. But it's the Utah Jazz who are making the comeback from a 12-point deficit, riding the strength of Karl Malone and John Stockton.
Karl Malone has been over 30 points 2 games of the 3 so far, and there he is again. Right there, hit a night. He'll be well over 30 before this is over. Stockton with the 13 assists has already set a record for a 4-game series.
The Clippers at the controls as the fourth quarter begins. Loy Vaught's pass to James Edwards, out of bounds.
The Clippers are going to get Edwards a shot. They better do it now before Eaton gets back on the floor. He has trouble shooting over Eaton. They tried to go to him that time. For Karl Malone.
This is Blue Edwards with 12 to shoot, and Benoit getting the layup.
That's why they like this rookie.
4 points for Benoit. All of a sudden, the Jazz have cut it to 1. They're on a hot run here. 8 straight points. 2 threes to close out the third by Stockton, and now that shot by Benoit. Rivers on the miss. It's Edwards running the court. He is fouled by Grant. And Blue Edwards to shoot 2. Ron Harper and Charles Smith coming back on for the Clippers.
The Jazz starting to give the Clippers 1 shot and 1 shot only at the basket. The Clippers with 16 points off the offensive boards. It's obvious that Jerry Sloan pointed that out to his team during that last break and said, we have to take that away. And to this point, they have.
Blue Edwards, 10 of 11 free throwing in this series prior to that miss. Big edge at the foul line favoring Utah today by 12. They have attempted 12 more and made 13 more. Edwards ties the game. 9 straight points for the Utah Jazz to get back even with 11 minutes left in regulation. Harper feeds Rivers. Rivers to the hoop, and he's fouled. Blue Edwards on the foul.
Doc will get 2 free throws out of this. That's the only thing he has been able to do against Blue Edwards. He hasn't been able to get a shot off from the outside, so he has to take the ball on put the ball on the floor and take it to the basket.
2 fouls on Blue Edwards. Rivers at the foul line today, 1 for 2. He has 6 points in the contest. Quite a drop from his previous efforts in games 1, 2, and 3. His 23 points in game 1 not only led the Clippers in scoring, but really helped propel him back into that starting lineup.
Right. Well, Doc's averaging 17 points a game over the course of the series so far. You saw his production down tonight.
Clippers by 2. Started by Harper, and it's knocked out of bounds by Harper with 11 on the shot clock. Utah to throw in.
Well, there's a lot of action down on the baseline. The Jazz like to screen across for Karl Malone. He is getting bumped by the screener's man, and then he's getting bumped once he gets position on the low post.
Edwards plays into Mike Brown. Now it's Edwards sidestepping Harper. The return pass picked off. Rivers has it. Doc Rivers on a strong push all the way. Missed the dunk. It comes out to Edwards. James. And now it's Manning who pulled a string on an outside jumper. Rivers wrestled it away and draws the foul on Mike Brown.
That's Doc Rivers. Oh. What? Does he want this game or not? I think he is excited. Not only does he go up aggressively to the basket right there, he just takes the ball away from a couple of the Jazz players and ends up on the free throw line.
Mark Eaton back in for Utah. 10:22 remaining.
Doc said before this game he'd been bothered by his ankle. He said, I'm about 90-95%, but you can count me in on this one. That ankle is the last thing that I'm going to think about. And he said coming into this series, he was as healthy as he had been since he was a part of this Clipper team. And that, of course, made him real happy.
The officials have broken up a conference. I guess if you're in a convention center, it's only fitting to have a conference here today.
Now, there's a conference going on the floor. I've seen a lot of discussions between the players.
Doc Rivers, after that strong effort, shoots to put his club up by 4. And it's only fitting that he should make 2 free throws here because of that effort.
He earned it.
Utah needs a hoop. They clear a side, and they've got Stockton isolated with Rivers. Stockton gets chased out. Edwards makes the entry to Karl Malone. 6 to shoot. Stockton against Rivers. Back out to Malone. Almost used up too much clock, but still gets it off the glass.
Big shot. Well, I see Jeff Malone at the top of your screen laying down on the floor. Normally when that happens, it's because your lower back is bothering you. I don't know if his back is giving him trouble or not.
He, of course, he rolled his left ankle in this series and was able to nurse it with the time they had off. Manning missing, but draws the foul.
See, there's Jeff right there, and I just have to think he has a heat pack under his lower back trying to make sure he keeps that back loose over there.
David Benoit with that personal foul, his first. That's 3 team fouls on Utah. And it's been a little of this and that for Manning today.
Didn't look good from the time it left his hand. And it seems like he's trying to guide it up there instead of shooting it with the form, the follow through, the technique that it takes to make the free throw.
I thought he did that on his last field goal attempt from the perimeter. It looked like he pulled a string on it. So he's 5 for 9 at the free throw line, and it's a 3-point lead for the Clips with just about 9:30 remaining. There's Karl Malone making the strong move and drawing the foul.
Boy, he's a handful. I thought Charles Smith had him played pretty well that time.
Larry Brown's got a decision to make. Charles Smith with his 5th.
But Karl has such a strong upper body. Now he steps in, takes the punishment there as Smith tried his best to avoid the foul, and he's going to have to go back to the bench. You might ask why not Olden Polynice at this point in the game. He has done a fairly good job on Karl Malone, and I think the reason is that the Clippers need some offense. They need a threat offensively, and Norman gives them that.
Karl Malone shooting for the tie with 9:23 left. The Jazz, who were down by 12, draw even at 84. Doc Rivers directing traffic for the Clippers. Harper punches into Manning, who's doubled in the post and loses the ball to Blue Edwards. Now it's Edwards in on James Edwards, and the basket goes, and a foul on James Edwards.
Just don't see why you didn't foul before he got in the act of shooting. Edwards picks it up, but he waits until Blue gets into the gets in close enough to put the shot up towards the basket. Now watch from the steal. Here's a good chance for Harper. You'll see him to step in. He knows the Jazz have the numbers. Pick up the foul right there. And then Edwards just allows him to get to the paint before picking up the personal.
So out of that bad decision, Utah has taken a 3-point lead as we near the 9-minute mark. Rivers trying to rub Stockton off on the James Edwards pick. Now Manning off the drive. He rolls through traffic and gets the shot down.
The Jazz trying to avoid the foul that time. I thought Karl Malone backed off. Eaton backed off and allowed him to get to the basket.
Manning has 25. Stockton trying to work around a Malone screen. Stockton's lefty scoop left it wild, and Manning the rebound. Manning with a high dribble. Now a delivery to Harper. Ron Harper was able to float and control that ball right off the glass.
Harper wanted the foul also, but the defense on the other end leads to it. Good job by Doc Rivers on Stockton.
The Clippers a 1-point lead. Malone over James Edwards. Rimming no, and the rebound to Harper.
It's a shot you have to give up to Malone.
Harper spinning free, now the fadeaway. And Ken Norman, who went strong to the glass and came from way out on the floor, will get hit with a loose ball foul.
You'll see the quick shot by Harper. No offensive rebound opportunity right here for the Clippers because of that. And Norman comes over the back.
That's 4 fouls on Norman. 4 team fouls against the Clips. Benoit missing on the pump layup attempt.
Benoit has to attack the basket there.
7:35 left. The Clippers up 1 in control, and Rivers leaves it for Harper. Again, the outside jumper. That time Harper connects. 20 points for Harper today. Clippers by 3.
Harper playing with a lot of confidence. 9 of 21 from the field.
Stockton takes it back out when he saw the double team coming. They get an open shot for Edwards. Rebound Norman. Manning. Little drop-off pass into Harper.
And a great decision by Harper to bring it back out.
Rivers through 3. Harper the lone rebound. Tipped out of bounds by Stockton. Olden Polynice coming back in for the Clippers after this timeout. 6:51 left to go in regulation. And Los Angeles, trying to stay alive, has a 3-point lead. The Dutch boy in the paint reveals some cold numbers, but I tell you what, Jack, these numbers are a result of hard work by the Clippers.
They have worked hard, especially here in the second half on the board. Out rebounding the Jazz 23-11 here in the second half. 16 points off the offensive board, so only 4 for the Jazz. Boy, that is getting louder in here.
The LA Clippers definitely have the home court advantage in terms of a crowd response. Clippers working on 6 in a row. They've opened up a 3-point lead with 6:51 left to go in regulation. Doc Rivers will make the inbounds pass. 22 on the shot clock. Harper guarded by Jeff Malone, who's back.
And they needed to take Jeff Malone.
They go into the post, and Manning converts on the half hook.
Jeff is running kind of gingerly right now, and I think you'll see the Clippers go to Harper the next time down to force Jeff to play some D.
Karl Malone is fouled. The missteal by Norman, and then the foul on Polynice.
Well, I said, you want to be physical against Karl Malone. That's what you want to do. but you don't want to keep sending the guy to the free throw line. He's still getting his points, up above 30, actually 35 points here in this game. Most of those coming from the free throw line.
This is his 20th attempt. He's made 18. Utah draws to within 3. Harper ducked the screen and took it to the hoop.
Taking Jeff Malone because Jeff obviously bothered by his back. He had been laid out over there on the floor. And Harper, right now, I would just spread the floor, give him a one-on-one situation, just let him work.
Karl Malone dropping the ball to Edwards. He muscles it in and draws the foul.
Basket by Lou Edwards. Foul is on Danny Manning.
Now you'll see how easily here Harper gets by Jeff Malone. And Jeff just can't move.
4th personal foul.
Manning with his 4th. Blue Edwards on the free throw line. 3 of 4 today. The rebound to Polonese. 6 minutes left, and still the Clippers with a 3-point lead.
And Harper is handling the ball.
Working around the pick by Polonese. Doc Rivers shovels to Norman. A punch inside
great passing.
to Manning.
Great passing. It's very unselfish play.
Stockton has picked up the dribble inside to Jeff Malone, knocked out by Los Angeles with 14 to shoot. Utah to throw in.
The Clippers now picking up the pressure defensively. And still a lot of time on the shot clock. They'll try to get the ball down to Karl Malone, I'm assuming.
Shot clock is at 9 now. And John Stockton dumps it to Malone, who does go to the basket. May have gotten it blocked. Polonese the rebound at any rate. We've got an injury here to the Clippers, and a 20-second timeout has been taken.
That's Harper.
Sure is.
Got hit that time as Malone took the ball to the basket. Got some blood coming from the nose area.
And he will have to leave the game until that is stopped.
Harper with 22 points, 10 of 22. From the field.
A full timeout taken by the Clippers.
Yeah, it was Harper who got the block on Malone's drive. And a full timeout taken with 5:20 left, and the Clippers up 5. Anaheim Convention Center, this crowd of 7,400, which ventured into the Clippers' home away from home, has been thoroughly enjoying itself to this point. The Clippers with a 5-point lead, 96-91, and 5:20 left. And if this lead holds, there will be a deciding Game 5 tomorrow night in the Delta Center as Billy Crystal looks on. We will, of course, have that game on TNT as part of a doubleheader tomorrow night.
See your timeouts remaining there. Both teams with the 20 left. The Clippers were assigned a full timeout, so they saved their 20. Well, listen to this. 108 free throws made for the Jazz in this series. Only 62 for the Clippers. That's amazing.
Harper to the hoop. Ron Harper with 24. The lead is 7.
Now he's just blowing by Jeff Malone right now, and I know Jeff is injured. He's a better defensive player than he's showing right now.
Stockton against Rivers. Now it's Jeff Malone. He lost it off the dribble, but a foul call. Mike Mathis makes the call.
Well, this crowd not happy, but Doc didn't argue. I think Doc got him across the arm.
That's his 4th.
Got Jeff across the arm as he made the move towards the middle.
Malone 73% from the foul line in the series and hasn't been on the line today. Jeff Malone shoots in the silencer. Mike Brown returning for Utah. Mark Eaton going out 4:55 left.
Yeah, the Jazz can't leave Eaton on the floor. They just need some more quickness along the front line. They need someone that's going to be a little bit more active, so that cuts down on Eaton's minutes. The other thing is the Clipper front line is so active themselves that it's just not a fair matchup for Mark Eaton.
Ron Harper surveys the scene, works around the Polonese screen and gets double teamed out of it and loses it in the corner to Stockton. Utah gave him a little different look that time on screen roll.
Ran the double team with Karl Malone.
Inside the shot, good by Malone.
Oh, he is so strong down there. He's so strong.
That cuts it down to 3.
The thing you have to do with Karl Malone is just not give him a chance for the three-point play. He's going to pick up 2 one way or the other.
Danny Manning inside on Brown, out to Rivers. Off the drive, it is Ken Norman, who was tapped in by Polonese. They count the basket.
I think a good call. I think a good call. I thought he held his hand back long enough. That one surely looked like it was coming off.
So they give the hoop to Norman. Inside, it's Karl Malone. He's
that's
fouled,
it right there.
And the basket's good.
That's just what I'm talking about. That's the thing you have to protect against when you're guarding him right now. He's so effective down there. Is to not give him a chance for the three-point play. If you're going to foul him, lock him up. And just not let him have the shot attempt.
Harper on the foul, his 3rd. 41 points for Karl Malone.
Well, we've seen some big games here in the last couple of days from the superstars of each team. Michael Jordan up above 50. Drexler in that game in L.A. a few nights ago. And then up above 40, and now Karl Malone working up.
42 points, a playoff career high. Rivers with Stockton on him. In it goes to Manning. Manning with 10 to shoot. Now Rivers attacks and draws the foul, and he'll shoot 2.
Just think the Clippers are taking advantage of situations right now. They took it, gave it to Doc Rivers, allowed him to work against Jeff Malone. Now Jeff is a little bit in the flow. They're now going down to Danny Manning, forcing the double team. And the passing has just been great for the Clippers.
Charles Smith returns for Los Angeles. Polonese is out. 6 out of 7 from the free throw line for Doc Rivers. 11 points for him in this game. 3:39 remaining. LA by 4. Stockton gets a play from Jerry Sloan. He's guarded by Rivers. Stockton slips through, hands to Karl Malone, and he is clobbered at the hoop. Foul is on Manning.
But at least he doesn't make the basket, and that in itself is an accomplishment for the Clippers.
That's 5 fouls on Manning. This will be free throws number 23 and 24 for Karl Malone in this game. He's only missed twice. .43 points tonight. It's a 2-point Los Angeles lead. The biggest lead today has been 12. The Clippers enjoyed that. Harper holding in the corner on Malone. Inside to Manning. In and out, but a foul called, and Manning shoots 2.
Mike Brown giving up a lot of quickness in that matchup. Danny Manning gets his shot off so quickly anyway. He catches it and lets it go. Brown with the push down low.
For Danny Manning, this will be 10th and 11. Smith and Manning each with 5 fouls for the Clippers. That foul on Brown, his 4th, so he and Ty Corbin with 4 fouls. Not really in foul trouble for Utah. Big free throw.
Well, if I were Larry Brown, I would think seriously about bringing Polonese in right now, particularly if Manning makes this free throw, gives him a little breathing room. Bring him in for just a minute to keep one of those guys with 5 fouls from picking up those 6.
Manning with 31. The Clippers in search of a defensive stop as we near the 3-minute mark for regulation. And Jerry Sloan takes time. 3:06 left. Los Angeles in front by 4. A little over 3 minutes remaining in regulation. The Clippers trying to push it to a 5th and deciding game tomorrow night. And Utah President Frank Layden would just as soon wrap it up here today and then get ready for those tough Seattle Supersonics in the second round of their Western Conference Series. Seattle awaiting for the winner in this series.
As I mentioned before, the Clippers dominating the backboard here in the second half. And we'll point out once again also the team that has won the battle of the boards in each of the previous 3 games has won that game.
Karl Malone with a career playoff high 44 points today for Utah.
And those free throws made and attempted also playoff highs.
Right now 22 out of 24 in that department. A 3-try by Edwards. That's the first 3 for the Utah Jazz by any player other than Stockton in the series.
Well,
a 1-point lead.
What a big shot that was.
Man.
Blue Edwards.
Ken Norman looking into Charles Smith. He's got a big crowd around him, and Edwards 3 times today has gone into the post and picked a pocket. Utah with a shot at the lead. 2:33 left to go.
Guess who's going to get it here?
Yep. Stockton looking for Karl Malone. 6 on the clock. Blue Edwards walked.
Yes, good call. The Jazz looked a little bit out of sync that time. The Clippers played Stockton in that pick-and-roll situation with Karl Malone very well. Wouldn't let him return the pass to the middle. Back to Karl.
Very well played second half. Only 6 turnovers total in this half. Danny Manning doubled. Rivers swings to Norman. Now with 8 on the clock, Harper inside Charles Smith. Mike Brown the rebound. Again, Utah with a chance at the lead inside of 2 minutes. Jeff Malone closing fast and gives the Jazz the 1-point lead. And now it's the LA Clippers taking time. Utah with both Malones, Mike Brown, John Stockton, and Blue Edwards. The Clippers come out with Ken Norman, Doc Rivers, Danny Manning, Charles Smith, and Ron Harper. This lead for the Jazz is their first since it was 48-47 in the first half. Remember, the Clippers have led by as many as 12 here in the second half. Rivers dumps it to Manning, who gets tripped coming across the lane. A foul called against Jeff Malone.
Jeff Malone wanted to try to pick up the charge. He started falling down and just couldn't regain his balance that time. I think Mike Mathis made the good call.
7 out of 11 from the free throw line is Danny Manning in this one. He has a series playoff high of 31 points right now. Tie game.
That free throw surely looked good from the time it left his hands. He's going to have to make this second one, though.
Utah foul was on Jeff Malone.
He's shooting for his 33rd point of the day and trying to give his club a 1-point lead. Clippers by 1. Stockton against Rivers. Senses the double team. Mike Brown into the lane. Blue Edwards. Checked by Norman. Stockton against Rivers again with 6 on the clock. Stockton around the Malone screen. The lead-in flipper. Cleared by Norman. And now it's Harper. Lobbing to Charles Smith. Charles Smith with 16 with 1:10 left. The Clips by 3. Mike Brown going to the hoop and getting the basket.
The Clippers trying to take the ball out of the hands of John Stockton. He continues to handle it against the double team. The Clippers coming close a couple times now to the illegal defense. That would be the first of the game. No technical will be called.
Rivers trying to turn the corner and does, and draws the foul in the process.
Foul charge to Karl Malone.
Karl Malone with his 4th, and Doc Rivers on the line to shoot 2. He is 7 of 8 from there today. Well, there's been some big free throws made in this 4th quarter.
Well, I thought those 2 by Danny Manning. He struggled from the free throw line. He stepped up and made both of those to give his team a 1-point lead. Doc, though, is the guy I want on the line if I'm the Clippers.
In the 4th quarter, he's 8 for 8. It's a 3-point lead again for LA. 48 seconds left. You're almost down to possessions now for the Clippers if they can get him a stop. Blue Edwards, it's a 2-try. Rimming, no. Norman has it with 40 seconds left. The convention center crowd here in Anaheim smelling a square series. Shot clock at 10, 15 difference. Rivers to the rack. Count the basket and a foul. Game 5 in Salt Lake appears to be imminent. By 6. And Doc Rivers has been something in this 4th quarter.
Boy, he has 11 points in this quarter, 9 of 9 from the free throw line.
And for the Utah Jazz, it's the ghost of playoffs past.
Right. And they were heavily favored to win this series in no more than 4 games, but it's going to go back to game 5. It looks like at this point.
23 seconds left, 113-107. Utah taking it at the end line.
Well, I don't know for sure why they decided to do that, using up some time bringing it down the floor. Maybe they had started to advance.
Edwards was out of bounds. Blue Edwards, trying to position for a three-point field goal, was standing out of bounds. Gary Grant is on for the Clippers. Norman is out, 16 seconds left.
I'm not sure why they decided to bring the ball the length of the floor. I'm trying to figure that out. Doc made the free throw, so they had a choice as to where they wanted to take the ball out of bounds, and they chose to bring it all the way.
Harper is fouled in the backcourt by Malone. Jeff Malone with his 5th.
Mark Eaton has been taken out of this game because the activeness, the quickness of the Clipper front line was not a factor in this game.
The fans here in the convention center are chanting, "We want Seattle."
I know, I'll tell you what, I'm sure everyone here in this building really feels seriously that the Clippers can win Game 5 in Salt Lake City. They are a very much different ball club than the one I saw in Game 1 in Salt Lake City.
They've got an 8-point lead with 12 seconds left, and Jerry Sloan takes time. Utah has trailed virtually throughout this game. The Jazz were down by 12 early in the second half. They came back and took a 1-point lead.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been Doc Rivers here down the stretch that has picked up the play. And I guess you would expect that from a guy who has a lot of playoff experience. Second to James Edwards on this team in games in the playoffs. Doc has been there before.
Yeah, he is 9 for 9 free throwing in this fourth quarter, and the Clippers as a team have hit all 15.
Oh, and they have struggled at the free throw line for much of this game, Danny Manning in particular, but he stepped up, made 2 big free throws that gave the team a 1-point lead again.
"12 seconds remaining, and the Clippers with this 8-point advantage. We need to point out again, in each game in this series, the Clippers have gotten just a little bit better.
Yes, yes. I'm anxious to think what this team will be like next season with a full training camp under Larry Brown. Give him an opportunity to teach us stuff in a situation where he doesn't have to worry about playing games. They can work on various situations. They can work as a team together. And you would have to think the Clippers are going to be a much improved ball club next season.
Utah to take it at the timeline. Karl Malone will make the inbounds pass. They'll need a quick 3. Instead, it's Jeff Malone getting his shot blocked. Loose ball to Harper. This series is tied 2-2. Tomorrow night we'll have it on TNT as part of a doubleheader, the deciding 5th game from the Delta Center in Salt Lake. As the Los Angeles Clippers returning home down 2 games to none, got the victory on Tuesday night in their home arena, the LA Sports Arena. Then because of the situation in Los Angeles during the week with the civil unrest, it was switched here after twice being delayed, and the Clippers get the win by 8. 115-107. Now let's go to Ernie Johnson in Atlanta.
All right, thank you, J.D. Clippers are on a roll, folks. They've won 2 straight in this series, but to win the series, they're going to have to win at the Delta Center, where the Jazz were 37-4 in the regular season and 2-0 now in the playoffs. Elsewhere on this Sunday afternoon, the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas was the site for the Blazers and the Lakers. A chance for Portland to close out the L.A. Lakers as they move this one from the Forum to Las Vegas. Second period, Cliff Robinson, Terry Porter, Kersey, Drexler, the same cast of characters. Drexler had 26 points. Late in the half, Drexler knocks this one away. Danny Ainge and Buck Williams will hook up here and give Portland an 18-point lead. Third quarter, it just got worse for the Lakers. They turn the ball. There are 12 steals for Portland. Drexler for a 20-point lead. They're on their way to a 26-point win in the final game of this one, which goes 4 games, 102-76. Portland wins this one, and the Lakers will not make it to the second round for the first time in a long time as they win the series 3-1 and move on to play the Phoenix Suns. Now with the Jazz and Clippers tied 2-2, the Sonics still don't know who they're going to play in the Western Conference semifinals. Now let's move to the East, the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Why is this man smiling? Because he's in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Detroit, though, had the lead on the Woolridge Jam. They're up by 3 in the first. Second period, Greg Anthony to Patrick Ewing, 31 points for the big guy on the day. Fourth period, Detroit tries to hang in there. Isaiah Thomas with an acrobatic move on the baseline and the foul. 68-62 is the New York lead, and they would keep that lead. Greg Anthony, watch him. Slices, dices, makes hundreds of julienne fries in seconds, and the Knicks on their way to eliminating the Detroit Pistons. The final score 94-87. New York moves on to take on Chicago. As we take a look at the Eastern Conference brackets, the Bulls, after sweeping the Heat, now waiting for the Knicks, 3-2 winners over the Pistons. The Celtics, after a sweep of the Pacers, are taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who beat the Nets in 4, and that series is already underway. In fact, Game 2 comes your way here on TNT tomorrow night as Game 1 of our doubleheader. Boston at Cleveland with the Cavs leading 1-0. The Clippers and the Utah Jazz, Game 5 in Utah at the Delta Center tomorrow night. Tuesday night, another doubleheader in the conference semifinals. The New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls at Chicago Stadium. That's Game 1. And then it's Game 1 of the Phoenix Suns and the Portland Trailblazers Tuesday night here on TNT. And our guest in the studio is going to be Kevin Lockery of the Miami Heat. Right now, let's go back to the Anaheim Convention Center. The Clippers have tied this thing up 2 apiece. Danny Manning standing by with JD and Goose. Guys?
All right, Ernie. Danny Manning had 33 points in the game tonight. There were a number of Clippers who stepped up big. In fact, 4 of their starting players had playoff bests in this game offensively, including your 33. That's the most you've scored. You know, Jack and I were talking, Danny, it seems like with every game in this series, you guys have gotten just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. You've got to have a lot of confidence now.
Oh, we have. You know, the first game we came out, we played kind of sluggish. The second game, we showed improvement. The third game, we played well enough to win, and we did. And tonight, we came in here, and everybody just wanted to play really hard, and a lot of guys stepped up, like you said.
It's been a tough week.
It has been a tough week. You know, this is for the people of L.A. You know, they're a great city, and, you know, we're going to be all right here.
Kenny, I have to think ahead to game 5 of this series. I've seen the improvement steadily. I had you guys in the first 2 games a totally different ball club as far as I'm concerned than what I saw in Game 1. And I would think you guys have to be pretty confident going into Game 5.
We feel very good. Well, the first 2 games up in Salt Lake City, we didn't play that well. And they jumped out on us early and kept the lead on us. They played very well at home, but we're capable of beating them if we go in there and we play the way we're capable of playing, which is to play hard, play together, and be unselfish.
Danny, I'm wondering what's going on with your free throw shooting, man. I know you're much better free throw shooting than you've been in this series.
I've been struggling all year. I picked it up towards the end of the year, and I'm just not stepping up concentrating. It's going to get better.
It got pretty good in the fourth quarter, I know that. The Clippers hit some clutch free throws down the stretch, and this one is going the distance. Game 5 tomorrow night in Salt Lake. The Clippers prevailing tonight 115-107. Tonight's Budweiser player of the game is Danny Manning, led the way with 33 points. Be sure and stay with TNT as NBA action continues tomorrow with a doubleheader. It's the Celtics and Cavaliers in the second game of their series. Then the deciding 5th game, the Jazz and Clippers from Salt Lake. Coming up next, the professionals, Burt Lancaster and Lee Marvin. For Jack Gibbons, this is Jim Durham saying good night from Anaheim.